Feeling good, Woodsy?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Relaxed?
Oh, yeah.
Just another extension of your childhood modelling days, that's all, except you've got to interact with someone, so it's a little bit different.
I had to interact with them back then as well. There's a little film I was in.
Really?
I don't think it ever got onto television, but I remember doing a lot of takes on it at some studio in Nunawading, mid-70s, so some time ago.
You were a superstar back in the day. You talk it down, but you were really across the media publications.
I was just an extra, you know.
My name's Nick Reid, General Manager of Reid Stock Feeds, and today we have a special guest in the house, and that is Michael Wood. Michael is a grain trader for Rural Logic. That's his business.
I grew up in Melbourne, and just the normal things. Went to school. Always interested in things outdoors, whether it's climbing trees, catching cicadas, lizards, frogs, whatever. My auntie, on my mother's side, ran a big cattle station and up in Queensland, and on school holidays we'd go up there, and I really took an interest in that big outback cattle industry. I finished school, enrolled at Agricultural College, Dookie Agricultural College in Northern Victoria. Marcus Dingle, your procurement manager, was a couple of years behind me.
And do you remember his handshake from those times?
No, forgive me. Am I supposed to remember something particular about his handshake? Is it a wet fish handshake?
No, actually it's the complete opposite.
It rips your shoulder out.
Really rigid, stern.
Oh, okay.
You won't forget
the
it.
sign of a man.
You'll be still thinking about it when you go to bed that night, sort of thing.
And feeling it.
Yeah, feeling it.
Yeah, the sign of a man. He looks you in the eye and shakes.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he's really honed his craft around the handshake.
Right, okay. I'll take note next time I'll meet with Marcus next week.
Savour the moment.
Yeah, I will.
We were just talking about grain traders and grain brokers.
Oh, yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about what the difference is between those two occupations?
Well, I suppose a broker works and is commissioned on behalf of a particular party. What I mean by that is either a grain buyer or a grain seller employs the services of a grain broker to buy or sell a parcel of grain at the best price which suits their particular needs. A grain trader is someone like myself who doesn't work on behalf of any particular party. I'll actually buy grain, store it, mix it, blend it, whatever I need to do, or procure it on behalf of another company, or perhaps pump the price that it's going to go up or down. Barley has a number of different varieties, just a bit like there's different breeds of dogs, Labradors or poodles or whatever, it's suitable for different needs and purposes. Maltsters look at different varieties of barleys which have different traits and characteristics in the brewing process, and some of them might not be suited for domestic beers. In Victoria, the main domestic needs for malting barley are Westminster barley. There's a new one called Planet, which is just got off the blocks this year with various degrees of success, high yielding barley. Another good solid barley variety that the maltsters like is called Bodan barley. Maltsters arguably a bit spoilt for choice. So I think there's about 10 or 11 different varieties of barley grown and certified for malting purposes in Victoria.
Was I giving you a look like I had no idea what was going on?
I thought I was rattling on and boring you to tears, really. But
that's just my resting face.
But again, that is barley. I'll put that on a tray for you.
Yep, do that.
This is what I call a sample load from a farmer. There's the farmer's name there. This is one of maybe 500 samples of grain that I bought last harvest, like 2 months ago.
Really, you just opened up the bag and you can hear that.
Yep.
Hear that, smell that.
Well, you can smell that. It's fresh barley.
Definitely can't hear it, but you can smell it, that's for sure.
No, I can hear it.
Oh no, I
want to be malted. I want to be turned into beer.
Jeez.
Did you hear that?
Ventriloquist as well, you are a talented man.
There's the barley variety, Latrobe barley. I forgot to mention Latrobe earlier. Again, a particularly good barley variety for the domestic market. 29 tonnes, harvested on the 28th of November 2019. The protein was 9.7. Screenings, retention, moisture, test weight, all different traits of...
What the hell is that, and why are we bothering to test for those things?
Because they're important in they're desirable characteristics for the maltsters. The test weight needs to be nice and heavy. It's got a lot of guts in it. miles to the gallon pretty much. And when you're talking cars,
Yep.
you know, how efficient is it? If it's a big, plump, heavy grain, there's a lot more stuff in there that can be fermented into beer.
I've seen this before in our own Q&A
Oh,
shoots.
yeah?
Yes.
Okay, so how is this for a prop?
Doing nicely.
All right, and so give it a little bit of a shake, and what falls through it, you can see that type of chaffy stuff up the top. That's going to get floated off in the malt house, or blown off, all that sort of stalk.
Yeah.
A little bit of weed seed underneath this. You can see all that dust and little weed seeds. It's also a good measure to see if there's actually any live insects. You know how you get
So
stored grain insects?
All these darker particles are
Yeah,
weed seed?
that's a ryegrass seed as a weed seed in the crop. It actually gets harvested with the barley. When it gets to the malt house, that actually gets sifted off. So that's raw barley, and that can be stored for some years. You know, it's 90% dry matter. It's only 10% moisture. It's got a very long shelf life.
Right.
The maltster wants to use that some months after harvest. They want it to be alive. They need to germinate it, so it has to be stored very well. The four main ingredients of beer being malt, in this case barley malt, yeast, hops, and water.
Right.
So this is the main sort of bulk ingredient besides the water, of course.
So
This
we're
gets
gonna wheat this up.
is fermentable. Yeah,
Yep.
it'll actually taste a little bit like malt. Like picture Milo, Ovaltine. And taste that maltiness, or like and it's quite sweet.
a bit of Roundup there, or?
No, they're not allowed to use that with malting barley
Ah,
at all. There's no pre-harvest use of Roundup for malting barley. Well, the vintage car, the reason I have that old car is it was initially my grandfather's car. It's probably the oldest FB Holden wagon in Australia, because it was produced in January 1960, and they only started producing them in January 1960, just here in Port Melbourne. Hopefully you learnt something. I learnt something at least. And
you learnt that you know something about something, and that's great.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's going to be plenty of valuable material here to share around barley, so thanks very much.
All right, thank you, Nick. Thanks, viewers.
Good job.